The 5 biggest red flags of the narcissist. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Nobody spots the narcissist the first time that we come along. It's only afterwards, when you realise, and many people do not, that you've been involved with a narcissist, that you start to understand what the red flags are. You are then able to look back upon your entanglement with the narcissist and see, yes, I can see it now. This was a textbook in the way that this individual approached me, drew me in, seduced me, ensnared me, and treated me thereafter. There are many red flags that the narcissist exhibits, and you can read about 50 of them in relation to seduction in my excellent book, Red Flag. You can find this in the Knowledge Vault, link in the video description, or you can find it on Amazon. Just search for H.G. Tudor, Red Flag. But there are 5 particular red flags that stand out perhaps more than any other, and it is worthwhile you understanding what they are so that you don't get caught again, and for you to share this information with other people who might not yet have had the misfortune of being involved with a narcissist, so that they are appropriately armed with this information to look out for it and pause before going any further with this particular relationship. The purpose of the red flag is to give you a warning that the person that you're dealing with may well be a narcissist. The more red flags that you see, the more likely it is that you're dealing with one. As I always make clear, one red flag in itself doesn't necessarily mean that you're dealing with a narcissist, and therefore it's important to look for several. However, if you come across a red flag, you should either counsel perfection, back away because it's problematic and you don't take the risk, or you proceed with extreme caution, and if you start to see other red flags, it is then that you ditch the relationship. Too often, people don't know what the red flags are, therefore they can't spot them. Or, in other instances, they see the red flag but they take no notice of them. The reason being is they don't fully appreciate the importance of what they're witnessing, and by that stage it's too late because they've already become subsumed by their emotional thinking, so that they euphemize what the activity, that they ameliorate it in some way to make it seem less dangerous than it actually is. If you encounter these 5 red flags, or any of them, you must think very, very carefully about continuing in the relationship with the relevant individual, and you will be better served playing safe and having nothing more to do with them. Accordingly, what are the 5 biggest red flags of the narcissist? Number 1, monopolization of time. Many people don't realize this. They get swept away on the notions of romance and that it being meant to be, of soulmates, etc. But the way that a healthy relationship ought to proceed is that it doesn't happen quickly, and that there remains space between you and that individual. Unfortunately, certain dating experts, who invariably are unaware narcissists themselves, cause people to think that if the other party is slow to respond, that means that they're just not into you, and therefore you should give up. On the contrary, it should actually be seen as a healthy sign. Let us take this for an example. 2 individuals meet. The man says, I wonder if I might take you out for dinner next week. They've had a conversation, they've got along well. The lady is interested, so they exchange numbers. This takes place on a Thursday. He says, I'm busy this weekend, but will you be available the following weekend? She confirms that she is. They agree that they will do something on the Saturday. Great, he says. I'll contact you Wednesday, Thursday next week to make some arrangements. She doesn't hear from him the following day, nor Saturday, nor Sunday, nor Monday, nor Tuesday. There would be those that would say, oh, he's ghosted you, he's not interested. But in actual fact, all that he's doing is demonstrating that he is consistent with what he said. He said he would get in touch on Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday has not yet arrived. On Wednesday, she receives a text. "Hi, it's Jake from wherever. Are you still available to go out for dinner on Saturday night?" "Yes," she replies. "I'd love to." "Great," he says. "Do you like Mexican food?" "I do. There's this Mexican restaurant called such and such. Do you know it?" "Yes, I've heard of it." "How about we meet there at 7:30 on Saturday?" "Great, see you there." There's no follow-up text on the remainder of that day. And then on Saturday afternoon, she receives a text. "Just checking you're okay for this evening." She replies, "Yes, looking forward to it." He replies, "So am I." There'd be those that would think, oh, he's not that interested because he's merely responded with regard to setting up the date. But in actual fact, this is how a healthy relationship progresses. Why? He's recognizing boundaries. And the fact is this. Those two individuals, whether they might be in their early 20s or in their 50s, will already have established aspects of their life. They're likely to have jobs. They will have family around them. They might, older, have children. They will have hobbies and interests and friends and a house to run. All of that means that the new arrival on the scene, the new date, is way down the list of priorities, as it should be, which means that he nor she keeps badgering the other with text messages because they're busy doing other stuff. However, when the narcissist comes along, all of a sudden you find that this individual is repeatedly texting you, asking how you are, asking about your day, sending you links to YouTube videos, complimenting you. They may well be telephoning you each and every night, talking for hours, and the conversations are fun. The conversations are enjoyable. It feels wonderful because you're being made to laugh, and it may well be that you come off the back of an experience with another narcissist that you didn't know, and therefore this individual is like a breath of fresh air. But what they're doing is they're monopolizing your time. They're talking to you for hours each evening. Yes, it's enjoyable, but it's still interfering with your time. The individual is sending you text messages during the day when you're at work, when you're trying to drive, when you're trying to do perhaps household chores, deal with your children, whatever it might be. You're getting messages pinging in the evening. Are you able to talk when you're actually with your friends? And in effect, your routine becomes disrupted. Your hobbies might be dropped. And as a consequence of this, the individual is monopolizing your time. In a healthy relationship at the outset, that doesn't happen. Yes, it's exciting to meet somebody that you're interested in, and it's natural to want to spend time with them. But you can still spend time with that individual and then spend time with them the next weekend. And then slowly but surely the amount of time that you spend together starts to build up so that you're seeing each other more and more often. But this takes place over a course of weeks. There is a gradual coming together of your world and the other person's world. There isn't a sudden amalgamation of those worlds within 48 hours of meeting, which is what the narcissist wants. The narcissist monopolizes your time because the narcissist needs to get you under control as quickly as possible, because the narcissism has identified that you are most likely going to be an excellent provider of the prime aims. The narcissism has identified that you're easy to control, that you're likely to fountain with fuel, that you will have excellent character traits and residual benefits. And therefore it needs to test all of those things, and it can only test those things by interacting with you. That means spending lots of time with you. And that allows the narcissist to get you under control faster, to draw of your fuel as soon as possible and as regularly as possible, and to access those character traits and residual benefits. Thus you find that the narcissist is speaking to you regularly, every evening, or coming around and seeing you every evening, meeting up with you for lunch, ringing you during the day, texting you during the day, so that all of a sudden this person that you only met on a Friday night has suddenly subsumed themselves into your world in a matter of 24 or 48 hours. That monopolization of time is a clear red flag of the narcissist. Number 2, changing you. This follows on from the first red flag, where when you first meet a person, as I earlier explained, you have your own interests, you have your own friends, you have your family, you have a job, you might have a pet to look after, you have a house to run. The narcissist isn't interested in any of those things because they're nothing to do with them. And instead, those things are deemed entirely applicable sacrifices on the altar of the narcissist. Namely, in order to monopolize time, the narcissist needs to erode you. In order to spend as much time as possible with you, your badminton match that you've had every Tuesday with your friends for the last 10 years needs to fall to one side. The friends that you would meet up with for dinner on a Wednesday evening, that needs to stop. That your work becomes interrupted so that you can continually respond to the pinging messages from the narcissist throughout the course of the day. That you're able to meet up for a lunch, which then overruns and makes you late for one of your appointments thereafter. That you become late for picking the children up from school because you were on the telephone to the narcissist. That your time ordinarily spent reading to your children in the evening becomes pushed to one side because the narcissist is incessantly messaging you saying, are you there to speak? Are you available to speak? That the time that you enjoyed binge watching a particular television program, you can no longer do because you find yourself talking to the narcissist in the evening instead. Now, at this early stage, of course, the narcissist is flattering you. The narcissist is fun. The narcissist is interesting. The narcissist is really into you. And therefore, all of this feels wonderful and delightful. And therefore, it doesn't necessarily feel like you're actually making any form of sacrifice. But you are. It's steady and it's insidious. Little by little, you start to see your friends less. You bother with family less often. You don't do the things for yourself that you once did because you'd rather actually be spending time with the narcissist. And often you fail to recognize the extent to which your own world is being eroded and changed by the incursions of the narcissist as they seek to monopolize your time. This demonstrates the narcissist's lack of emotional empathy. The narcissist doesn't care that you no longer get to do the things that you enjoy. The narcissist doesn't care that your relationships are being eroded, ones which have been in place for years before the narcissist came along. The narcissist fails to recognize the boundaries because your world is there to be invaded. Everything about you is up for adaptation and change to facilitate the advance of the narcissist into your world. Accordingly, if you notice that you are no longer participating in certain hobbies because you're now spending time with the narcissist, that you're not speaking to your friends as often because you're too busy on the phone to the narcissist, that you're not seeing friends or family as often because you're involved with somebody else, that you're perhaps not doing as well at work, that you're not as attentive, that you're turning up late for appointments, that you're missing out on activities that involve your children, that you're not engaging in the self-care that you once did, that you've put your hobbies to one side, that your lollipop stick creation of the cathedral in Milan has been placed upon halt. All of these things are indicators of change within you, and they take place relatively quickly, and they are a red flag that something is wrong and that you may well be involved with a narcissist. Number 3, excessive flattery. During the initial seduction, the narcissist needs to move quickly to get you under control. And one of the key ways of doing this is to compliment you and to flatter you. Now, the paying of a compliment, of course, is a natural thing when you're interested in somebody. But there are 2 distinct elements to this that should stand out as a red flag. The first, the compliments are excessive. It's repeated. Every message is about how beautiful you are. Every conversation is talking about what a brilliant mind you have. How can't believe that I met somebody like you. You're absolutely sensational. And the second element is that in many instances the compliments don't quite fit. You know that you're not that bad looking, but you're no stunner. And for this person to go on and on and on about how absolutely handsome, breathtakingly, amazingly beautiful you are, all of those things, it's nice to hear it, but even you think it's a little bit over the top. I'm not that good looking. But of course the narcissist waves away any modesty on your part. Oh, you're just being too modest. You're not letting yourself shine, etc. I see the true beauty in you, so on and so forth. The compliments keep coming. The compliments and the flattery, whether in text messages, boasting about you on social media, commenting on your social media in a favourable fashion, telling you to your face, telling you in telephone conversations, sending you various memes, etc., which contain flattery and compliments. It is a tsunami of compliments. And it all feels good because, hey, who doesn't like to be complimented? Who doesn't like to receive some flattery? It makes you feel good. And especially so for many victims who hitherto may well be coming off the back of an abusive relationship, and thus their self-esteem and their self-worth has taken a real kicking. Therefore, to have somebody come along paying those compliments really does make a difference. You need to be wary of this. Somebody that comes along and very quickly starts complimenting you and flattering you, and doing so in an excessive fashion, both in terms of volume and extent, is showing a red flag. Watch out for it. Number 4, fast forwarding. As I mentioned, the narcissist needs to get you under control as quickly as possible. And one of the ways to do that is through the ties that bind. In essence, the narcissist wrapping those tendrils around you, creating connections between you and the narcissist. When you meet, you're strangers. You have nothing together. And therefore what the narcissism wants to do is to create those ties that bind. The ties that bind include living together, buying a property together, a shared bank account, going on holiday, going to various getaways, becoming engaged, getting married, having children. All of those create connections between you and the narcissist, meaning that you're far less likely to leave the narcissist, that you are going to be committed to the narcissist because of these meaningful life events. Accordingly, what the narcissist will do as part of future faking is talk at a very early stage about, I can't wait until we live together. But you've only been on 2 dates, and already the narcissist is talking in such terms. Of course, this comes within the flattery. How lovely it is for someone to say that they'd like to live with you. But caution, think about it the other way around. Would you want to live with somebody after only having met them twice? You don't know anything about them. You don't know what their habits are. Do they leave all their underwear lying around? Do they not clean up after themselves? Do they snore? Do they hog the remote control? Would they carry out an equal share of the chores? What are their personal habits like? Do they stay up until late and sleep in? Or are they up excessively early? You don't know any of those things, and you need to learn them before you determine whether this person is, of course, a suitable match for you. But notice, this person is already talking about wanting to live with you, but they don't know about your habits. They don't know about how you behave. You've only met twice. And thus, this is what the narcissist does. In order to try and create those ties that bind, the narcissist will either start to actually do those things, suggesting that you live together, or at least starts talking about the notion of doing so, whereby you become excited at the prospect and think, gosh, this person must really like me if they're talking about living together, buying a house together, having children, going on holiday, getting engaged, or getting married. The narcissist does this because talk is cheap. It's very easy for the narcissist to say, I'd love to marry you. I can just picture you all in white. I often think about you and I married and what it would be like. And that sounds ever so romantic, but actually it's sinister. The narcissist talks about, you know what we need? A holiday. But you've just met. How would you know that you would be compatible on 2 weeks away in a foreign environment? I could see myself having kids with you. Wow, that's said after 3 dates. That is a hell of an observation. But so often people fail to see this fluttering red flag. They're taken in by the fact of, gosh, this person wants to have children with me. They must really be into me. Oh, I'm so lucky. I really like them, and he's saying this. I can't wait for that to happen. It doesn't necessarily mean that these things will occur, But the very fact that somebody's talking about these major life events at a very early juncture in their relationship with you is a clear red flag. They want to fast forward the relationship to create those ties that bind, and you need to pay attention to that. Number 5, surprise. Yes. Many people like a surprise, some people don't. But one thing you may well find is that if you're being ensnared by a narcissist, you're getting lots of surprises, and this is another warning sign. Whether it's suddenly turning up with a gift for you when it's not your birthday, or that you haven't actually achieved something, you need to be wary. Of course, again, it feels nice for someone to buy you a gift. It's thoughtful, and if it's particularly something you want, you're going to enjoy receiving it. But you need to heed a note of caution. Why is this person doing this? It isn't Christmas, it isn't your birthday, you haven't achieved something, so why are they buying you a gift? They're just being nice. But are they? Ordinarily, they wouldn't do so. But this individual is. And in a healthy relationship, you wouldn't just buy somebody something for the sake of it. It would be linked to an occasion. Yes, somebody might turn up with a bunch of flowers because that's a romantic thing to do, but buying you expensive jewellery, expensive technology when there's no actual occasion, that is a warning sign. And the surprise of doing so is a warning in itself. It's actually bribery. It's a form of manipulation that's being done to bring you under control by making you think that you're special and deserving of such presents. Surprise includes turning up invited at your home. I was just passing, says the narcissist, and thought I'd see what you were up to. You might be mildly irritated at first because you were looking forward to watching Scrubs and having a hot chocolate. But hey, the narcissist is there and you enjoy their company, so you let them in. But once again, your evening has been disrupted. They didn't call beforehand to ask if it was convenient. They just turned up assuming that they would be allowed in. You come home to find that the narcissist sat waiting on your doorstep. Why are they doing that? Again, surprise! I thought I'd surprise you. Well, they turned up and you weren't in. Most normal people would then go home. But no, showing a sense of entitlement and the need to monopolise your time and a lack of accountability for their actions, they decide to camp out on your porch or doorstep. You're on a night out with your friends. All of a sudden, the narcissist turns up at the restaurant or the bar where you are. Oh, I just happen to be in the area, they say. It's bullshit. They've seen what you've put on social media, and because of their need to control you and to keep an eye on you to prevent any competitors getting in the way, they've turned up uninvited. Rather than recognise that you're enjoying yourself with your friends and recognising that boundary and therefore saying hello and then going away, the narcissist invites themselves to join in. They ignore the disapproving looks of your friends and then monopolise your time, spoiling the evening. You suddenly turn up and find that the narcissist is mowing your lawn or cleaning your yard. It's very nice of them to do so, but you didn't ask them. And once again, this surprise is evident of the need to assert control over you. Evidence is a lack of accountability and shows a lack of boundary recognition. There are many red flags to look out for, but these are 5 of the biggest. And if you're involved with somebody and they're showing these behaviours, the best thing that you can do is turn around and walk away from them. If you're uncertain as to whether you're dealing with a narcissist, you can do no better than put them through the narc detector. Details can be found in the video description, whereby you utilise the objective expertise of me, H.G. Tudor, to assist you in determining are you dealing with a narcissist. And this is just as applicable for a long-term relationship as it is for a new one, utilising the traffic light system that I have, where you're dating someone and you're uncertain as to whether you're dealing with a narcissist or not. If you fear that you can't work it out yourself, enlist me as the expert. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.